How y'all doing, guys? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crumb. Mike, man, how are you? It's been too long, sir.
I know it's been a minute, man. We've all been crazy busy for it's holiday times, the new year. People move, people find out new sicknesses. People are young and have something to do. I don't know what Brendan's excuse was, but he has something. And so we've just not been able to match up. But, glad to be back finally and talk some football with you guys.
Yes, sir. Feels good to be back. Well, Mike, where can we find you on X?
At CD Piglet. That's it, right? Yep. And Blue Sky. Yes, I don't know my Blue Sky. It's at the bottom of my articles. It's new. I'll remember it and add it next time.
Yes, sir. Well, of course, no show is complete without the conductor of the Jake Ferguson hype train, Mr. Brendan Fergie Smith. Brendan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's so great to be back. I love being us all three. Nothing beats this.
I agree.
It does,
especially after that Jake Ferguson season.
Yikes, man. Brendan, where can we find you on X? Where Ferguson follows you? Shout out.
You can find me at Brendan_Smith26.
I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. Well, guys, as we said, it feels good to be back, and a lot has happened since our last episode. Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys have parted ways, and the NFL playoffs have started, and the 2024 season is close to its end. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Mike, let's start with you. What are your NFL thoughts, playoff edition?
My NFL thoughts are you in order to win in this league, and this is very important, unfortunate for Cowboys fans, you either need a head coach difference maker, which we've had. Mike McCarthy was not a bad head coach, wasn't a negative like Jason Garrett, but he's not a difference maker, and it doesn't sound like we're hiring a difference maker from the reports. We'll see. You need one of those, or you need a GM that builds a badass roster like Philly has, where they can kind of, carry a quarterback that's not one of the top tier, or you need one of those top tier guys. And I love Dak. He's very, very good, but he's not Allen, Mahomes, one of those got Burrow that can carry a unit. And my worry is that we know we're not getting the difference-making GM. We're not building a roster that's unbeatable like Philly has and like San Francisco has done in the past, like Detroit might have had if they didn't get all injured. It doesn't sound like we're hiring the head coach difference maker from reports. And unfortunately, Dak, as good as he is, I don't think is good enough to overcome the lack of those two things. And that worries me going forward, unfortunately. And the playoffs have kind of cemented that worry with who's made it.
I was listening to 105.3 The Fan earlier today, and I was listening to Brian Broaddus, and he brought up a good point. You talk about the teams like the Bills and the Chiefs and the Eagles, right? Where all those teams, they've made like generational type moves. You talk about Howie Roseman, what he's been able to do as a GM. You talk about what the Chiefs doing, hiring Andy Reid and then also drafting Patrick Mahomes. And then you talk about the Buffalo Bills making the move to draft Josh Allen, taking a big risk on him when, his profile, I guess, as a passer wasn't really very good. And a lot of people had questions about him, would he develop as a good passer in the NFL? Those are generational type moves. Those are like franchise changing moves. And like you said, man, looks like the Cowboys might not be able to do that. Yeah, even Brady.
No Brady for Bills too. A play caller that's a monster.
Yeah, he didn't have do too well in Carolina, but when you look at what he had in Carolina, he wasn't really set up to succeed. But yeah, he's been a difference maker for the Bills as well.
And in LSU for Joe Burrow and them when they won the Natty. So he's a proven beast, man. He's a monster.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that his name wasn't associated with some more head coaching opportunities, but maybe he'll get a job. Who knows? But what about you, Brendan? What are your NFL thoughts, playoff edition?
I got two. One, you need to be the home team. Like, you got to be the home team if you want to win, unless you're facing Washington for some reason, and then they just somehow have ruined 2 teams at home. But, yeah, I don't – like, every home team's like, oh, maybe they could lose. Oh, no, they're up by 20. Okay, cool. That's great. You watch the wild card round, boring as hell. Like, besides the Washington game, I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Bad football.
It really was. But you can say that for college, the college playoffs too. The first round, awful. Like, couldn't get engaged at all. Divisional round, a lot more fun. This was crazy. And then my second one is Sam Darnold cost himself tens of millions of dollars. Like, dude, you're like, dude, are they going to trade J.J. McCarthy? Man, what team is going to sign Darnold to, like, the Daniel Jones deal in this offseason? Like, what's going to happen? And then, he'll probably go back to the Vikings as a backup. Like, all this high in 2 weeks, and you go, nah, you're back a level. We can win with you, but not in the big games. It's just insane.
Shows how good Rhodes or Flores and the play caller head coach for Minnesota were. That
Kevin O'Connell.
Do 14 games with Sam Darnold as your QB is crazy.
And what's kind of crazy is, like, I never really looked like people thought the Rams were going to beat the Vikings. Like, I didn't see people saying that they weren't going to beat the Vikings, but I also didn't see people, like, believing that the Rams had a chance of beating the Vikings. Did y'all see anything like that? Did y'all see people talking about the Vikings, just kind of going to have their way with the Rams or any upset possibilities? Did y'all see anything like that in that matchup on Twitter or anything?
A lot of people had said it depend on Darnold. Like, if Darnold goes pumpkin, then Rams will have a chance. If Darnold plays like he had before Detroit, then they should win. But I mean, Rams had as good as O'Connell is, McVay's better, and I don't care what you think of Darnold, Stafford's better. So anytime you go into the game with the better coach QB, you've got a chance, And they were able to beat Minnesota, and then Philly, they had a shot at the end, but Philly's roster is like crazy good. Howie Roseman's crazy, so. That one, they couldn't overcome that just because they had the better coach quarterback. The rest of the roster was too much for them to overcome.
Maybe it was just my timeline, but it seemed like people thought that it was the Vikings game to lose, it seemed like.
You got a player quarterback coming in as their first playoff game ever. You're automatically in the loss column for that. And it's not like it's like, oh, wow, this guy's been playing great all regular season multiple different years. It's Sam Darnold. Like, we're still hoping to see his upside, like, consistently. You hold on to the ball for how long? Like, hey, the Rams defensive line, those young dudes kicked ass this postseason. But still, why are you holding on the ball for like 6 seconds? What play are you trying to get to develop that's 6 seconds?
Dude, Jared Verse is so nasty, dude.
Dude, I still love hearing the Vikings on-call dude going, he's holding it too long, and you see Sam Darnold just get killed.
Yeah, he got murdered that game, and I kind of felt sorry for him. As far as my playoff thoughts, as good as the divisional games were, I think the overall the playoffs have been kind of predictable and somewhat boring. Kind of sharing your thoughts on the wild card there for you, Brendan, but. Outside of the Commanders, there's nothing really been that exciting about these playoffs, in my opinion.
I agree. It hasn't been it's been very meh. And I mean, the ending of Bills Ravens was pretty good, but overall even the Ravens Bills game, like, I don't know why it was close, but it wasn't like an exciting, like. I think Josh Allen threw for under 150 yards or something. Like, it wasn't really like overly.
It doesn't feel like a back and forth, even though it was close.
Yeah. The funniest thing is we're starting this thing off just right. I've got to go off camera for just a second.
No worries. Brendan, I'll ask you this. Is 14 teams too many teams in the playoffs?
No, because like you get the 8 division winners, which all deserve to be there. Even it doesn't matter how bad your division is, and you beat the people there, then you deserve to win. And then you get two people that, 'cause if it was just the division winners, the Vikings had 14 wins, and they would have been out of the playoffs. Like, imagine winning 14 games and you don't win your division in general. Like, how infuriating that has to be. And then you're like, oh, hey, actually, no, you're gone. What do you mean? Oh, no, yeah, you're not playing next week.
And a show first, I think Mike's taking a snack break. I've never seen this before.
I knew.
New year, new Mike.
What happened is, as we started, I got this feeling like, get the hell out of here. I have low blood sugar the minute, and I don't know, the camera probably couldn't catch it, but I have my kit right here, so I checked it, and sure enough, my blood sugars are like right at where that you could, like, they're about to dip. And so I went and grabbed a little Almond Joy that I had over there. Man. That I don't eat a lot of stuff like that, even though it looks, I'm very fat, I'm gaining weight. That's partly my eating, but partly some other stuff that's going on. But yeah, I keep little things like this in case I have low blood sugar. It just so happens that, of course, we haven't had a show in forever, and the minute we have one, of course I have to have something because I hate
Almond Joy and Payday, maybe the most underrated candy bars of all time.
I like coconut. I like the taste of coconut.
Almond Joys are. I grew up eating those quite a bit. What about you, Brendan? What are some of your favorite candy bars before we move on here?
Sorry,
but the thing is, this is gonna sound basic, and I'm sorry, but
Snickers.
No, my favorite is Reese's. I love that. Obviously, I love that stuff more than anything. Like, that's become my favorite candy. I gotta say Reese's is better. I gotta say Hershey's just because you can do so much with it. With what you want to add with it, you can do s'mores. You can do all this other stuff with it. And then if you like, I like a little crunch. So Kit Kat too.
There you go.
Kit Kat and Reese's Peanut Butter Cup cold are my favorite candies, but they got to be cold.
Have you had the red velvet Reese's cups yet? Either one of you guys?
It's a thing.
No,
it's a thing. It's at Walmart. I've seen food reviewers try them and they say they don't really taste the red velvet. I kind of want to try one myself, but yeah, that's the newest flavor right now is the red velvet Reese's cups.
I try every new flavor, so I will when I see it.
Yeah. Go to Walmart.
No, it's not here yet. It's not in California. I already got it.
He's on standby for any Reese's flavor coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I ain't judging, man. I always try the new ones the first time I see them as well. But, Mike, I was asking Brendan, is 14 teams too many for the playoffs? What do you think?
It's fine, but I wouldn't, like, if the league was like, you know what, we're going to go back to 6, I would be like, that's cool. I'd be like, that's fine. Either way, 6 or 7. We've already seen a 7-1 because we lost, of course. No surprise. Right. We're the one the only team. But I guess their thought process is it'll keep more people in going for the bye because it's only 1 bye instead of 2. I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't care if they changed it back to 6. I would be all right with that too.
How would you feel about the playoff format being 10 teams instead of 14 or 12?
I think that's a little low. 5 in each, I think, would be a little bit too. You might lose a pretty good team then. Like Commanders, I don't think Commanders would have made it, and they're in the NFC title game.
I would say they had 11 wins.
Yeah, 11 wins, and they would have been out. I'm okay. I would keep that 6 or 7. A couple of wild cards are probably necessary.
What do you think, Brendan? Is 10 too little?
That's too little. Besides, even if your team's not doing great, you can still somehow have hope in late November. Hey, what if we make a push here? We can make the 7th seed. We can do it. Just need these teams to lose, but like instead of saying, "Oh, shoot, dude, we need 12 wins here," and you even want to think of the playoffs, you can get 9, 10. Some teams even with 8. You're like, hey, we can make this thing, and anything can happen. So it's more just, I guess, hope.
Yeah. I don't know. Just, there were some teams that made the playoffs this year that I really didn't think or kind of worthy of making the playoffs. So I'll ask you, Brendan, did the 7 best teams, in your opinion, make the playoffs? Or were there a couple of teams you thought that maybe didn't deserve it, that missed and should have been in there?
No, there's only one team people can really talk about, and that is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, everyone's like, oh, they should have made it. Like, well, you shouldn't have sucked at the beginning of the year. Like, Cincinnati, like, was like overscoring so many points. You still lost. Like, a loss is a loss. You can lose by 1, or you can get your ass kicked by 30. Like, you gotta win these games if you want to have a chance of making the playoffs. You got hot too late, and this is what you have to show for it. You were hoping for 3 different teams to lose one of their last 2 games. Like, that's asking for way too much, man. Like, come on, what are we doing here? You're hoping the Broncos are going to lose to the Chiefs' backups? Carson Wentz? Really? No.
Yeah, their defense was atrocious this year, man. It would have been fun to see them in the playoffs, though, I think.
Well, but Joe Burrow, duh. Like, Joe Burrow's a phenomenal quarterback. So if you have him in the playoffs, you want it. But, like I know, like, it
You
sounds
still have
weird.
to earn it.
Yeah.
Niners are another team. I'd say Niners, they got really injured. But if they're healthy, they're a lot better than most of the teams in the NFC.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess that's an easy one. I guess I just meant teams that were who they were at the end of the year, that maybe they, in the current state that they were.
Well, how many times does Dallas go into the playoffs? And you're like, these last few weeks, you're not feeling great about it. We lose week 18 more than I feel like anyone, and we're like, oh damn, we gotta play next week, and we play like that. That sucks. So it's just the luck of the draw, man.
Very true, very true. So outside of the Commanders, what has been the biggest surprise for you in the playoffs, Mike?
How quickly the Rams got back to being like if that game wasn't in a snowstorm, they probably whoop on Philly, and Philly is loaded. But McVay is so good, and Matt Stafford is such a tier above quarterback wise that if they had a just not a snow game, I think they win. And if they're in like a dome, they probably win going away. And to think like, oh, cap hell and no draft picks and this and that, and then Aaron Donald retires, and it's still like, I would not. And if they did end up winning that game, they would have hosted the Commanders. Like, that's crazy to me that team that was dead in the water after they won, and McVay was going to retire because cap hill and no draft picks and everything. And it's like, they're a weather or a play or 2 away from hosting the NFC Championship game. That's crazy.
Yeah. They only missed the playoffs like 1 time since they won that Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. And that year their quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
So, who knows if Stafford's not playing the year injured or missing games, if they even missed the playoffs. Insane.
I know Baker Mayfield quarterbacked the game and won. Wasn't Carson Wentz on the Rams that season too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Insane.
It's crazy, man. I'd love to see just Dak with a Sean McVay type coach just for 1 season, just to see what would happen.
Oh God.
I'll give you Brian Schottenheimer. That's the best I could give you.
My goodness, man. We got Sean McVay at home, guys.
I hate you.
All right, Brendan, what about you? What's been the biggest surprise for you in these playoffs outside the Commanders?
Well, I gotta say, I just want to first off, one last thing on the Rams. So you lose arguably the best defensive player of all time, Aaron Donald, and you're like, oh shit. And you're like, oh, how do you like fix that hole? You don't. But what you do is like, oh, not one player is gonna fix that. No, you don't get Chris. Even if you brought Chris Jones, he doesn't fill Aaron Donald's gap. You draft so many players, they're going to. Like, there's going to be enough talent on that D-line around them to make it up for Aaron Donald. Jared Verse, I love Braden Fisk. I hate that no one's really talking about him because how good Verse is. Braden Fisk is one of the funnest defensive tackles I've watched in a good while.
Him getting hurt put them behind in that game too, because he killed the first series and then was out for the game with that knee injury.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned it.
My biggest shock, but also just I kind of laugh at, is the generational quarterbacks that have lost. I'm not putting Stafford on it because the weather and all that. That's not the reason. Like they didn't lose because of Stafford. But oh man, CJ Stroud, man, he's generational, man. Oh no, he's gone. Oh man, we're gonna watch Justin Herbert, football Jesus. Oh wow, you played like shit. Oh well, we're gonna see Lamar go out there. Oh well, Lamar had 2 costly turnovers.
Nope.
No, even if Mark Andrews catches that ball, do we really not believe Josh Allen's gonna go down and at least get a field goal to win?
Oh yeah.
Is anyone saying, "Oh man, it's a game"? No, it's not. You gave Josh Allen a minute and a half, 2 or 3 timeouts. I'm sorry. That's points, and you're going home either way. So all these players that I'm gonna bring it up until everything falls down, that are so much better than Dak, that they do everything in big games that Dak can't. Huh? Most of y'all have worse records in the playoffs than Dak. What's going on? Y'all are on the couch too.
Yeah.
I meant to look up Lamar's playoff record prior to the show.
He's 3-5.
Kind of goes to my point.
He's 3-5. Wait. Dak's 3-5.
Lamar's above that now because he won one more.
Yeah.
But his like total turnovers to touchdowns are like almost dead even. Like it was 9-9 going into this year, and he added 3 more turnovers, I think, and then however many touchdowns.
What, did he have 2 interceptions last night?
Yeah,
he had 2.
1 interception, 1 fumble,
and 1 fumble. Yeah, because Von Miller took that back to the 20.
Oh yeah, that's right. I know, man. Andrews, dude, losing that fumble and then dropping that freaking game-tying.
But that fumble though, he didn't see Bernard coming at all. Like that was just a phenomenal heads-up play. He was just trying to cut back inside.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like he was running with his arm out here. Like it was cocked in here, but it just got punched. And
their 2 best players, or most like Lamar Jackson's their best player, and Mark Andrews is like, if I got to make a play, I'm going to Mark Andrews. And that's the 2 that cost them the most.
Exactly. Yeah. Mark Andrews is like the leading touchdown scorer. I mean, like has the most receiving touchdowns in Bengals history is what I heard today. I was surprised by that.
And Ravens?
Not Bengals, Ravens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Mark Andrews is so good. He's scoring for 2 teams, man. Let's go.
Yeah, kind of Brendan, you kind of touched on it, man. What surprised me the most is the poor quarterback play in the playoffs. For all, having all the best quarterbacks being in the playoffs, outside of Jaden Daniels, none of them have really been very impressive. I mean, Josh Allen looked good, but not even so much as a third. We're just being a leader of his team,
Yeah, he just didn't give it away.
Well, also him in the run game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't. His stats were meh. But he didn't have any turnovers, which is what I've always said. Like Josh Allen would be my number 1 quarterback if you could take away his turnovers. And this year he has, so I'm interested to see what happens. He doesn't have the team the Chiefs have, but I'm interested to see if he can battle it out with Kansas City.
If like Amari was a couple years younger, he had been on the team all season, I'd like to see what that connection would look like, or if Josh Allen had a T. Higgins type of receiver. But no disrespect to Khalil Shakur because he's been really good.
I don't think Amari would do much because like much more, because in snow games or cold games he usually quits. Bring back to the Jets game like 2 or 3 years ago where he was hurt. He was hurt. Like I'm not gonna try to say Amari wasn't he wasn't 100%, but he took himself out of so many plays. I'm like, well then why are you out there? Like, what's the point if you're gonna be jogging these routes?
I would just be interested to see what Josh Allen's regular season numbers would look like if he had Amari Cooper.
Oh God!
I guess more so what I mean.
Well, yeah, I don't know though, because their offensive scheme is not going around one receiver, because they didn't do much with Diggs.
Joe Brady is good at run game first and then playing the pass game off of James Cook, even with Josh Allen. What makes them over the top is that Josh Allen, when things go bad, Josh Allen has the legs to run and a cannon arm that can throw a mile. So it makes it like he plays an offense like he has Jared Goff, but then he has a dude that could run as good as anybody or throw a ball as good as anybody. So he hasn't needed it to this point. He just not needed to not give it away. But I'll be interested if Kansas City gets up 14 and it's got to be like, okay, Josh Allen, now you got to make a few plays, how he'll be able to, he's going to do it. Like he may turn it over as well, but he's going to make 2 or 3 plays that are like, damn, this guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Josh Allen is really probably having the best season of his career this year, all things considered. Was the Lions' loss to the Commanders as bad as the Packers beating Dallas last year? Was it worse, not as bad, or equal? Brendan.
Oh, it's worse because everyone outside of Dallas didn't like. We're like, oh, they should beat the Packers, but is Dallas going to make any like noise in the playoffs? No, they're not. So no one really. Everyone was crowning Detroit. Like, hey, you won the NFC, go beat Mahomes, and then you lose to the 6th seed after you have a bye and 15 wins. Oh, dude, like. You got your the score is close, but you got your ass beat. Jayden Daniels looked phenomenal. That defense murdered Goff. Like everyone's like, "Oh, Jared Goff's great. Oh, he's doing all this." Well, he's a system quarterback. Like he's a good system quarterback, but you're wanting him to like drive you down. No, that's Jahmyr Gibbs' offense, and Jared Goff's just steering it. Dallas got their ass kicked too, but like. Okay, cool. No one expects anything from Dallas. They talk about them up like, oh man, Dallas is the 2nd seed. They should be doing all this, and so they can shit on them later. But no one's like, oh my gosh, Dallas, why aren't you in the NFC Championship game? No one thought about it.
Yeah, Mike, what about you?
This was the toughest call because Brendan's right, man. They had a bye week. They're the top seed. Commanders are coming in off of a playoff win. It feels like, okay, we got our playoff win. That's good enough, this and that. But I took myself back to last year. And I thought I went back to that time where at that time we were like, damn, we could finally make an NFC title game. Dallas ain't lost a home game in 16 games. We haven't lost a home game since Tampa Bay week 1 of 2 years ago. Green Bay's on a hot streak, but we're healthy. We're coming in. We got 2 home games, and then, we probably lose the Niners in the NFC title game. But I said that the Dallas one was worse just because we didn't have those injuries that Detroit had. At that time, we hadn't lost at home in forever. Now, this year, obviously, looking at it, we were shitty at home and everything. But I took myself back to that time. And even I was like, well, Green Bay's a threat, but we have a good chance at an NFC title game. Like, we got to win our 2 home games, which is very possible. We've been killing at home. Everyone's healthy. Let's go get them. And like, we got ollie-whopped in that game. Like, at least Detroit was fighting back. Now, Goff had interceptions and everything that ended up, in the 4th quarter, they put it away. But we were done at halftime. Like, at halftime, we were like, damn, we lost again. So I'll say Dallas is worse, but I'm not arguing against Detroit was worse because they were both bad. It was bad. It was both bad.
Both teams didn't win a playoff game.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither team won a playoff game. And they had a bye week and they were the 1 seed. And, they were playing what we would consider a worse team because Green Bay was on a hot streak, like had won 7 of 8 games or something. So I get it. When I take myself back, I really was like, damn, we have a shot at an NFC title game finally. Now, I in no way ever thought we were beating the Niners. I didn't think we were in there. You guys can go back and look. I was like, we're not in the Niners league. But I thought we had a chance to win 2 games and finally make a championship game, and we got stomped out right away, like it was game over. So I'll say us.
The Cowboys game was embarrassing. The Lions game was just like shocking. Like, what the hell? How did this happen?
Yeah,
I think it was equal.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with equal.
Brendan, it looked like you had some thoughts to add.
It's just also with Washington, like, it's just the shocking that Washington's there, but like, so Washington had a clean house, had a brand new management, brand new GM, first year head coach, rookie quarterback, and you go into Detroit like you don't care, like it's just another game.
You have nothing to lose, man.
I know it's not just that, but Dan Campbell got out-Danned. Like, Dan Quinn came out there like, oh, hey, you go for 4th down, don't you? Oh, yeah, that's what I'm known for. I bet. And they got stopped on 1 4th down just because Marcus Mariota was trying to toss it. It's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do.
He ran into a running back. That was the running back went the wrong way, I believe, is what happened.
Well, they were pitching to Daniels.
Yeah, I think he couldn't pitch it because when he turned, he hit the running back when he was going to pitch. So I think the running back was supposed to go the opposite way, and then he pitches it to Daniels, but he turned and hit Brian Robinson, and that was basically it. The play was over.
Yeah. Even with all their injuries, Detroit's offense is known for, okay, like once they got stopped on 4th down, I was like, oh no, Detroit's going to go with it. I'm like, okay. Washington was trying to get cute there, and that's just going to cost them. Detroit's going to get on their roll. And they went, and they didn't. And they didn't. I remember I was at dinner. We got home. I stopped watching. I'm like, how in the hell is Washington up by 10? I'm like, what on earth is happening here? And you see Jaden Daniels stats, like, oh, that. He's just so nonchalant. Like I hate it that he's in our division. I'm not going to talk down to him, though. Like, God, you played awesome.
Hell, I'm rooting for him. I don't want Philly.
I can't remember the last time I saw a quarterback so calm, cool, collected in the pocket, like under any and every circumstance. You know, with pressure, just time to think, time to throw. I mean, I couldn't believe how calm he was. Like, no happy feet, no like just bad decision making. It was crazy, man.
They blitzed the shit out of him too. They tried to pressure him every down, and it did not work. It worked on Darnold. Did not work on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I think now franchises are going to be less scared of taking chances on older, 24-year-old quarterbacks too,
Hey, the 2 rookies in this playoffs, of course, Jaden Daniels in the NFC Championship game, so you don't need to say any more about that. I don't think the Broncos are blown up. That wasn't because of Bo Nix.
No, not at all.
Like, wide receivers couldn't catch. The defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, the first half, I'm like, hey, Denver's in it. They had a chance to tie it, and their Will Lutz missed it. I'm like, Bo looks good. Like, I knew the interception was coming. I'm like, it's a rookie quarterback, and they're down. It's going to have to try to turn into hero ball. It's going to happen. It happens to any great quarterback, too. I'm like, dude, I was talking, like, of course, you all know my friend Cooper's a Broncos fan. I'm like, you should feel phenomenal.
They're ahead of schedule.
This is the 2-seed Buffalo with Josh Allen. You should be getting killed like this, and everyone should look bad. Bo Nix didn't. The rookie quarterbacks, the 2 older rookie quarterbacks who made the playoffs, look damn good.
Dude, they've got Sean Payton. They've got potentially their franchise quarterback. They've got an elite defense, and now they're going to have their draft picks and salary cap, dude. That'll be a scary team in 2025.
Yeah, once that Russell Wilson contract fully gets off the books, they'll be able to attack.
So do you think Walmart bought the Broncos and the Broncos do one? Do you think like Costco could buy like Dallas and like maybe you can start doing something?
That'd be amazing. Would you rather have Jerry Jones or Mark Zuckerberg as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys?
Anybody with Jerry Jones, because I don't think Mark Zuckerberg would be the GM. He would buy it, and maybe he picks the wrong GM, but then you could fire him and you get another GM. True. It allows for something to change.
Yeah, true that.
I had no idea who owned Costco, just letting you know when I said that. I had no idea. I was just trying to think of a big superstore type stuff.
Yeah. That would be crazy though to hear about Costco buying an NFL team or any sports franchise for that matter.
Dude, it's just in bulk deals, man. They have to buy two. They have to buy 2 teams. It has to be a bulk deal.
Yeah. Would you be surprised if Washington beat Philly, Brendan?
Watching Jaden, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna say no. It wouldn't shock me now because I thought Detroit was gonna cream them. Yeah. I thought, I'm like, okay, cool. You're on a bye week and then you play Washington. Like, that's not fair. Like, I don't want to be the other team. I'm going to face Detroit in the NFC Championship game because you have to go into Detroit with them playing no one. And then Jaden Daniels came out to do this. If it's snowing, I think it's a different story. Even though Washington still plays in the cold and all that, I know. But, like, it's snowing. That does hamper things.
Yeah.
But if Jaden Daniels keep this role, I'm rooting for you until you make the Super Bowl. Then I hope the Bills beat everyone.
I was telling my father-in-law yesterday, I was like, man, I wouldn't be surprised if Jaden Daniels beat Philly. You know, I don't know. I think he could beat. I thought they could beat the Ravens. I don't know if they could beat the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Philly. What about you, Mike?
Man, Philly's roster is like the best in football, but their quarterback is not playing very well, and so the difference in quarterback play is I'd still be pretty shocked. Philly's got. I mean, look down who's got the better offensive line, who's got the better receivers, who's got the better running back, who's got the better defensive line, who's got the better linebackers, who's got the better secondary. You know, the Washington has the coach and quarterback, but the quarterback's a rookie, so it's like, you know, Jalen Hurts. You're talking to a person who doesn't think he's like a top end quarterback, but he's been there, he's done that, and he's good in their system. You know, if you don't ask him to do too much, stick to your one read, run, hand the ball to Saquon, you know, be a person that people have to worry about with their athletic ability. You know, he works in that, and he's good in that system. I would be pretty surprised that Philly's team is loaded. I would be pretty surprised if Washington beat them.
Hey, we don't talk smack
here. To look pretty nasty at the end of the year too.
Yeah. Hey, we don't talk smack here about Cowboy legends Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler here, talking about D-line strength.
Yeah, they played well. I mean, I don't Dante Fowler's played above his salary. I won't say Dorrance Armstrong has played worth $10 million a year, but he's played as good as he did in Dallas, and that's enough to be a really good contributor. So, you know, I can't hate on that.
Can we talk about Neville Gallimore making one of the biggest
plays of his career? Don't forget Neville Gallimore making plays, dude.
Neville Gallimore makes plays in 2025. What is this?
Man.
How heartbroken will y'all be when Jordan Lewis, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Zach Martin go to Washington next year?
Zach Martin
will retire.
Yeah,
he's not playing anywhere.
I don't think DeMarcus will. I don't think he will.
He said he's not retiring. Well, he may come back to us, but he said he's still going to play.
Well, no, but I think he just has hatred in his heart for everyone in this division. Like he's been here since 2014. I know, but everyone, a lot of these younger guys on Dallas are like, oh, we hate Philly. If they gave him a contract, I'm like, you're leaving. Shut up.
Tank fits Ravens. So, I mean, I could see Chiefs. I could see that, but I can't see Niners or the division or anything. But I could see Tank going to Ravens to chase a title, to Chiefs to chase a title.
No, DeMarcus Lawrence to Buffalo.
That would work.
Oh, man, him and Vernon. That'd be pretty nasty.
That would work.
Yeah. What about Jay Lee? You think he's going to re-sign with Dallas, or you think he'll go to Washington or somewhere else?
He's going to go to Washington.
Dallas should sign him, but I don't. I mean, they're so bad. Our front office is so bad. Who knows what they're going to do? You know. So Jordan Lewis should be an obvious re-sign. Like.
Yeah.
Even going somewhere else, he's not going to be like an enormous max contract. Like say he gets somewhere 3 years, $24 million, like the Dono Wilson. Like that's something you can match here. Like that's not a ton. You can maneuver that money around. That's not a ton.
Would you rather re-sign J-Lou or just start Kalen Carson and use that money on a Jake Ferguson?
They won't use that money on Jake Ferguson.
But this is a hypothetical scenario, so that's why I'm asking.
They need J-Lou. That team needs J-Lou.
But hear me out. We were talking about this before the pod. We were talking about this before. I think they're punting on 2025 and 2026. I think they're just saying,
dude.
I think they are. All the coaching candidates they're talking about, even if they bring the young, innovative mind of Kellen Moore, he's here for 2 years.
Punting. Yeah.
They're gonna be here for Dak's contract, and if they somehow do something, they do it. And then as soon as Dak's contract's up, that means that head coach's contract's up, and then they're gonna bring in Jason Witten. So they don't give a So you know what, J-Lou, in this scenario, it would be J-Lou gone, and they would give money to Jake, because why try to get better or stay relevant in 2025? They don't want to. The Cowboy name will keep them relevant. Their team doesn't have to be good.
It's funny, because y'all just kind of been talking about the Cowboys, like the future and stuff. Earlier today, I was doing something. I was like, man, I could almost see myself getting to a point where like it's just not even fun to talk about this team anymore.
It worries me, and I got to write about them. So
yeah.
You know, I did a piece on Oso Odigizua for Cowboys Wire, and it was a piece I'm very proud of. It talks about whether he should be re-signed, the price, and players in his price range, and the difference in the analytics really lean high Osa, but production and run defense lean away from him. He's not as high on that. And so it's like it didn't really get as much traction as I thought it would. And I think it's just because people are like Kellen Moore, Brian, like Schottenheimer, like people are so out on Dallas right now because of how bad the season was and the options coaching. Like they didn't even have an interview with Ben Johnson, you know, like they're just doing it so bad that people just don't want to read. And I got to continue to write about them. I got draft stuff I'm sure will do well, but once the season starts and we got some dumb, sorry coach and another year older quarterback coming off an injury and a front office isn't going to bring in 5-6 starters to change the team, people know what's coming, and it's a bummer.
Yeah. Sad to think about, man, because this podcast has like kept me sane even when Cowboys teams are bad, but the thought of not even wanting to talk about the Cowboys makes me really sad.
Yeah, me too.
My dad gives me shit for it. Like, if I didn't have the love I have for talking about football in general, and then also the blast I have with y'all, my dad's like, dude, I was done 3 months ago. He's like, I'm like, I feel bad that you have to watch this. I'm like, I know you have that podcast, but like, I feel bad. I'm like, yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way, having to write articles about the minute Dak was out, I was like, I don't want to do this year.
Yeah. Thank God for this podcast of fantasy football, because man, I wouldn't be that crazy about football or the Cowboys without both of these things. So shout out to this podcast and shout out to fantasy football. Sticking with Dallas here, do you think Dallas would beat any team remaining in the playoffs at full health, obviously?
Yeah, the two NFC, should they beat Washington with Cooper Rush? They're great versus their division. If they had Dak, they could beat Philly. Just is what it is. They're really great, well prepared to play their division, and I definitely think they could beat those two teams. Do I think they meaning would they get to this point and beat them? No, because they would have lost to one of the other teams going up, heading to this point. But if they ended up in an NFC Championship game against Philly or the Commanders, I would have confidence that it's a 50-50 shot. They're great with Dak Prescott against their division.
Yeah.
They ain't touching
Brendan, what do you think?
I'd like to take a quick timeout. Notre Dame is coming back with an 8.
How much time's left?
Does not say on my little thing. I'm not going to pull the game up on my phone, but I saw the little notification.
I think I have my
Don't you have the game on in the background, Mike?
No, he
I
turned
turned
it
it
off.
off because it was a whooping.
And also, my answer is quick. I would agree with Mike, but I don't see Dallas doing anything in the playoffs at all. This team has me so down the freaking dumps, dude. Like I guess I would need these offseason episodes before everything happens to be uber positive, just to try to give me some energy before it's like, oh well, Dallas isn't gonna sign that guy. Oh, Dallas isn't drafting him. Like, are you kidding me? And then I like to go into like happy bullshit land where everything cool happens before we get back to the real world, and you realize none of that's happening.
It's all just a simulation anyway, right?
Yeah. Let's go, Rangers.
How much time is left in the game, Mike?
3:17. Ohio State has the ball. Notre Dame has 3 timeouts.
Hey.
Dude, if Notre Dame comes back,
that'd be pretty crazy.
Notre Dame has to get a stop, though. It's 1st and 10, Ohio State.
So we know that Ben Johnson already agreed to a job, but did the Lions loss make either Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn less appealing as head coaching candidates for you, Brendan?
not at all. Like one game doesn't say, or everyone's like, oh, well, everyone crushed on Dan Quinn after the Packers game. Well, first off, that was the worst defensive performance I've ever watched in my entire life. So that's one.
Yeah.
And also, it's just with Dallas, and I don't know, maybe Dallas just somehow has a curse because any coach will come in here, and if they play good competition, you're gonna play bad. Great teams, you're gonna play bad. Good teams, you'll play like average. You might win, you might not. And if it's a bad team, you're gonna, Dan Quinn's a mastermind. Look at this, their defense is getting so many stops, but you look great. So no, Aaron Glenn, I would still love. I'm not even gonna interview him. Ben Johnson, I knew wasn't gonna come here because he wants to be the guy. And any coach who comes here, you have strings on the back of your neck. You're getting pulled around.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't make it any less appealing for me. I don't think either one of those guys was the reason that Detroit lost. I mean, Jared Goff was awful in that game.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike? Did it make it any less appealing for you? I thought I saw you shake your head no. So
not at all.
Well, what do you? I know that Ben Johnson already got a job. Aaron Glenn, how excited would you be for him to be? The coach of the Cowboys.
Extremely excited. I'd be ecstatic. If I would believe that I would have hope that there was a chance if we had Aaron Glenn, but that's why we won't.
You'd have to get you excited.
You'd have to pay him, and you'd have to do stuff that Dallas doesn't want to do.
Yeah. How excited does that name get you, Brendan?
You know what? I'm talking about being negative. I buy back in. I'm like, oh, so we're taking something serious. That's the funniest thing is, if Dallas got Ben Johnson or they hire Aaron Glenn, do you know how much of the fan base would come back like, oh, hey, what are we cooking? What are we doing here? Yeah, that's all you have to do. You have to, guess what, Jerry? You have to spend a little bit of money. I'm so sorry. But if you want your fan base to make sure you buy tickets and stuff, that's all you have to do. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I know. What if either one of those guys were to get hired, man, I'd be right back on the Kool-Aid as well. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this coaching, coaching pursuit here in the offseason. But man, hearing Kellen Moore and Brian Schottenheimer does not inspire any confidence. That's for sure. Of all the names that have been linked to the Cowboys, who do you want to get the job, Mike?
Well, it was Ben Johnson, obviously, but he's with Bears. So Aaron Glenn or Joe Brady would probably be my 2 top. Saleh, I wouldn't mind Saleh either. Any of those 3.
Brendan, what about you?
Okay, so I'm going after after coaches that they're interviewing. Like I took that because I'm done lying to myself with this type of stuff. And what I'm about to say is going to be crazy because I've shit talked this a lot. But mine is Kellen Moore. Hey, I gotta finish. I know. That's why I had to preface this. But they're already talking about Schottenheimer coming back. So if you hire, I want out of every name, I want Saleh. Out of the guys who've interviewed and all that, I want Saleh. But they're saying
I'll say this one.
Damn. They're telling like, oh well, guess what? If they bring in anybody, Schottenheimer's probably gonna be the OC. If you bring Saleh in with Schottenheimer, you're gonna be the Jets. You're going to be the Jets. Maybe a little bit better because Dak and CeeDee are great. You're gonna be the Jets. Great defense, can't score for anything. So that's why Saleh would be my favorite. But you have Shoddy coming back, so your offense is going to change, and your offense was a real problem.
Oh, Kellen Moore though.
No, that's just because I want to see different, at least a little bit of different play calls or running the ball more with GNT because that's who we're going to draft. Because that's how you sell tickets. It's like, can you be bad? Yes, but can you still run for 120, 150 yards? Yes, you can.
Garrett, dude, we would be.
Yeah.
It would be Jason Garrett.
Any coaches, because guess what? It's like I said, they're going to be here for 2 years, and then it's going to be Jason Witten, and they're going to make me hate my favorite player of all time, and I'm going to go insane.
It was 3rd and 11, and Ohio State got a bomb. They threw it deep and got it to
Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah,
was it Jeremiah? Dude, he's 18, and he's 18 or 19, and he's the best wide receiver in the country. Like, brother,
monster.
Okay, so what would y'all think of this scenario? You get Kellen Moore and Robert Saleh and Ashton Jeanty as 2025.
The worst. You just laid out my absolute nightmare scenario. We got Moore and picked a running back in the first round, and we have a billion needs and 100 running backs that could go in day 3. And
Doug Peterson as the OC.
What?
And Doug Peterson as the OC.
It's still gonna be shoddy.
I would just stop. I would quit.
Okay, no. If you get Kellen Moore, you're for sure drafting Ginty just because he needs an elite running back. As you can obviously tell, he needs an elite running back to do anything.
I will quit everything. I will quit Cowboys wire. If we end up with Kellen Moore, Ginty, that is nightmare fuel right there. That is, we learn nothing of anything.
We haven't learned anything.
They did the running back thing almost perfectly, except for that they picked Zeke as their veteran instead of a good veteran, and they used their 4th on Lance instead of a rookie running back. Don't go back now, and you're going to be sitting in the 3rd round going, damn, we got 5 starting running backs here and no wide receiver, no D. Our wide receiver options will compete with Jalen Tolbert for wide receiver 2.
I've said this every time. Every time I can get Mike going on a rant, I feel like I did my job. But Mike, you gotta remember, we're not competent. We're not an NFL team. We're here to sell season tickets and to be talked about on ESPN. That is what we're here for.
I don't want to stop taking this new medicine and just die. I just want...
Wow, hold on. Don't go dark on us, Mike.
Get it before I have to do the Red Baron bet payoff.
That's not, dude. I will go to your hospital room. I will bring the Red Baron myself, and you're eating that shit.
By the way, I know we'll
share a Red Baron on your grave.
I know that. I know we're getting to the hour point, and we've got to get through this. But the Red Baron payoff will be at the season. The first of the season when we do our mock drafts and stuff like that. That's when we're going to do the Red Baron payoff. So it lets us get through this end and flush it out. And then we can start the new year with some fun and maybe we'll do another bet to set up for the next season. And we'll do
that's the only way we'll survive is just making bets.
For real.
That's true. True that. Dama got me excited. I like the idea of Dion, not just necessarily for what he can do as a coach, but just because that would be, for me, a signal that things are changing for the Cowboys. But low-key, Robert Saleh is the one I'm most excited about. Just to answer that question about all the names that get me excited, who do I want to get the job? Here we are from Mike's views from the sidelines. Did the performance of Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley change your mind at all on the importance of running backs, Mike?
Just sign Rico. He'll be your Zeke. Get a guy. Round 3 is fine. That's higher than normally I'd go, but I would go because you don't have a 4th round pick. I don't want to wait till round 5. I would get round 3 if you can get like Henderson from Ohio State. Say if he fell, I think he'll go before you in the 3rd round. But a running back in the 3rd to pair with a Rico Dowdle type, somebody 4.5 mil, you'll be fine. You need a wide receiver too. That'll help you more.
Yeah. Where are you in your draft evaluating process as far as like how many prospects have you evaluated? Where do you stand there?
I've gone through basically full on wide receiver, DT, running backs, because that is the 3 positions I think that are obvious. Like the first 3 picks are more than likely. I would be shocked if they weren't some form of that in a trio. I also have gone through a lot of O-line, and then I'm starting to work on edge, linebacker, and DBs. And when I say work on them, like I've seen a game or two of basically a shit ton of prospects, even a couple of the quarterbacks and tight ends that I'm not really doing because I don't think Dallas is going to go for a tight end or quarterback coming up because they just have too many needs to like a lot of teams would be like, well, just take a tight end in the 5th round in case Jake Ferguson's a good. Well, we can't do that. We got to use a 5th rounder on something that matters. Like we got to get a DB that can play, that has a chance to, or a linebacker that has a chance to be a special teams player because we just don't have those guys. So I'm in the process of going through edge, linebacker, and DBs right now. To see like day 3 guys that they could get and that could contribute.
I like that. Who are your top 5 running backs in this class?
I got Genty, Boise State, top 5 player. I just wouldn't draft him for Dallas because we suck as a front office and we need our 1st round picks because we don't use free agency. So we need to get a guy better. But if I'm a regular team, he's a top 5 player. The guy's a monster. Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. I have Travion Henderson, who just won the national title, Ohio State. Caleb Johnson from Iowa is my 5th. Actually, RJ Henry from UCF is my 4th. So that's my top 5 right now.
You don't have Judkins?
Did you say number 3 was?
No, I don't have Travion Henderson Travion Henderson. He's Judkis' teammate on Ohio State. I like him better. Judkis is my 7th running back.
Hey, he just scored 3 touchdowns. He just scored 3 in the national championship.
Well, he's a monster. But I think if you have a guy like Rico, you need explosive, and I think Judkis, Scadaboo, even the guy I said, Caleb Johnson, are kind of runners like Rico are, and we want more explosive ones. So I'm putting guys that I think like RJ Harvey, UCF, isn't going to be on a lot of guys' top 5 running backs, but I love him because I think he's explosive. I like I want some playmakers. See, running back, they matter. I'm trying to get right.
I was doing a mock draft tonight, my first of this season, I believe. And Caleb Thompson was a name that I saw that seemed to be pretty. Say that again. From Iowa.
Caleb Johnson from Iowa.
A name I hadn't heard a lot of people talking about, but he was pretty high on the draft board.
Yeah, he's my 5. He's my 5th highest.
And he's an explosive, big play guy.
Well, I mean, he's Iowa, so he's more like hard to bring down, type of runner. He's more of the efficiency runner than the explosion runner. But let me watch some more on him. You know what I mean? It's early yet, but I don't think of him like I think of Trayvon Henderson, Genty, or Harvey as far as like, could take one at any time.
Got you. All right, here we are with Brendan's Bashing Playoff Edition. Brendan, give us something.
So, let me just tell you that. Hypothetical here. Dak Prescott's in the playoffs, and his stat line at the end of the game is 14 for 32, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Would he still be in the U.S.?
Herbert. That's Herbert's line.
With Dak Prescott, no, Dak Prescott, if it sounds, I don't like saying it like this, but he'd be like of the NFL's version of like crucified on national television. Like any big media is destroying him. Everyone's like, see, we were right the entire time. He's the worst quarterback in the league. Why would you give him all this money? You really think you can win with him? No. But I've seen my favorite meme I've seen is Justin Herbert is the if man. Man, if Justin Herbert just played this, man, if Justin Herbert just had this one wide receiver, if he just had this, I thought he was the second coming of Tom Brady, Joe Montana out there. That's what I was told. I was told he was the best player ever to grace this earth. Oh, you mean to tell me he's not that great? Well, he's good. He's a great regular season quarterback. Guess what? He choked against Jacksonville. They chargered hard. Played so bad against the Houston Texans. I had the Chargers winning. I'm like, okay, cool. The Chargers are more talented. It's fine. It's whatever. Oh. The game didn't even look that close because you luckily had like a 70-yard touchdown to Lad McConkey in the final 5 minutes of the game. Herbert played so bad, and have we really heard about it? No. I haven't heard anyone going on about. I saw Stephen A. Smith protect, not really protecting him, but there's more protecting Lamar. Well, like I said, if Dak played like this, if Dak had 2 turnovers like Lamar, dude, see, he chokes in big games. You really think Dak can lead any team? No, he can't. I think Herbert hasn't shown he can lead. Lamar has choked several times. I'm just saying, that's pretty ass.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true, man. Okay, here we are. One word. Mike McCarthy's tenure as Dallas's head coach was blank. Brendan.
I can't say bad. You won 12-5 3 straight seasons. I can't say you were bad. Because he wasn't. He wasn't. But like I said before the show, like the Cowboys this season, you'll beat a team every year that Dallas isn't gonna win. How they do that? How they win? And you're gonna be like, oh, Dallas is gonna blow them out of the water. Why are we down by 10 with 2 minutes left? And then you lose. Happens same time every year, and then oh, you might win the wild card. You might. And then you lose in the division. Rinse and repeat. But luckily, he kept winning in the regular season, unlike Garrett. You go 10 to 12 wins, 8 wins. 10 to 12 wins, 8 wins. So no, it just meh.
Mike?
Solid, which is the same thing. He was solid. He won 12 wins, 3 straight. No other coach had done that for Cowboys. He won a road playoff game, first time since 1992. He did some things, but in the end, meh, solid.
For me, I went with ordinary, just the usual course of things, normal or a standard way of behavior or action. I mean, we didn't make it beyond the divisional round. We won 1 playoff game. We choked in the playoffs. Had great regular seasons. It's just typical Cowboy stuff, man.
Fair. That's about.
It'd be so funny.
The same thing.
It'd be so funny.
I almost said
If he doesn't get the Saints job, it'd be so funny if Jerry doesn't call back. Hey, so I know we couldn't agree on the money, but I don't see many options out there. I'm gonna say it here first. Out of everyone that they're going to hire, I know there's better options. So many Cowboy fans are gonna wish we had McCarthy. I'm saying it now before we see any football. Dallas will be will probably be healthy this year, and at some points we're gonna be like, wow, they really should have got McCarthy out earlier. Look at what they're doing. They'll be the same. So you'll wish you had McCarthy.
That's a scary thought, man. That's a scary, scary thought.
Yeah. Well,
okay, here we are with a top 5, and top 5 tonight is wide receivers we'd like to see on the Cowboys next season. Mike, give us number 5.
Emeka Egbuka just won the national championship. Ohio State set the record for receptions for them. He's kind of a slot-only guy, but he could be an elite wide receiver too. He'd be our best blocker by a mile the minute he set foot in the receiver room. He's not going to be a top-end guy. He's not going to be your guy that, if somebody goes out, his production isn't going to increase He's going to be the steady, same dude, a solid wide receiver 2 that in this draft likely you got to get in the top 20. But I still wouldn't mind him because we have that dude in CeeDee Lamb. It would be nice to have a second guy that can do the other stuff. He could play underneath like Lamb. If he's schemed up right, he can win a little bit on the outside with scheme. He's not going to do it on his own. He's not an outside guy. But the way he blocks, he's going to help your screens. He's going to help your run game. So Ibuka would be my 5th guy.
Is it Massey or Dan that doesn't like Ibuka?
Massey's not a fan of Ibuka. Dan loves him. Dan's Ohio State. Dan's Ohio State fan. So he knows Ibuka's a monster.
Brendan, number 5 for you.
First off, I'm not going to lie. Completely forgot that Ibuka is a person. No, I'm not even going to lie to you. As soon as Mike said, I was like, oh, crap. He should easily be on my list, and he's not. This first one, I went off of it's not what I like to have. I see it happening. Stephon Diggs. I see he's coming off an injury. He's going to be a lot cheaper than most people think. He's going to be able to play with his brothers, so they're going to have that narrative. They're like, oh, we're getting a former almost all-pro wide receiver. Isn't this what you want, guys? Look, we did it. We're getting Dak help that he desperately needs. We did it, guys. Okay. He'll take some attention away from CeeDee, not much at all. We'll see how he actually is coming back from injury. He could be a good receiver. He could be. But, like, as soon as you don't get him the ball that much, which the ball will be going to CeeDee Lamb, I don't see how much he's going to like that at all.
Question over here. Huh. Why is he in your top 5 guys you want? You literally are like, this is going to suck.
Because I went real. Like, this is the main one I want realistic. My 5th, I start off and like, who's going to be here?
Red Baron. You picked Red Baron of
No. Red Baron I was happy with. Red Baron I was happy with saying was good. This is me just saying I had to go with this one because like if we don't talk about Diggs as one of the receivers and it happens, I don't want to put it out there that we're talking about him.
He's 100% the Dallas move.
Oh, I know later on I get into happier players. That's the people I want right now. Right here, I'm just like, this is going to happen. It's my 5th. There's 4 more players. So yeah.
You guys with your top 5s. How about you, Paul? What's 5? Is it Red Baron? You just want a cardboard.
You guys are going to hate this one. I went with Brandon Cooks.
Oh, you want Cooks back?
I wouldn't mind bringing Cooks back.
I would rather have Diggs. I'm not gonna lie.
That's worse than Diggs.
I think he's gonna be a lot cheaper than Diggs. He's not gonna be like your wide receiver 2. I just want the veteran presence in the locker room for whatever new coach that comes in, new coordinator, new receiver room. I mean, I'm not sure what to expect, but I think Brandon Cooks and Dak had a good chemistry. It's just they didn't really have a good scheme for Cooks. So I'd like to see what Brandon Cooks could do in the new offense.
I wish we
could
at
a reasonable price.
We need to cut out the top 5 video, cut it out, put it online, and then do polls of who had the best top 5. Because I'm winning this one already. I can tell you right now, I'm winning this one for sure.
I'm tired of seeing Brandon Cooks jump balls. I'm not gonna lie, to seeing a go ball when you see he's made no separation. Why are you doing this? Why are we here to throw a fade to a 5'10" on a good day wide receiver?
All right, number 4 on my list. This is a rookie. I don't know anything about him, but I was doing a mock draft. I read about him. I'm like, you know what? This sounds like everything the Cowboys need. And this is somebody you probably know a lot about, Mike, but it's Xavier Restrepo from Florida.
Xavier Restrepo from Florida. What round did you get him in?
I want to say it was the 3rd round.
3rd, yeah, day 2 player. That's not bad. He didn't make my list, but I don't hate that one. Okay, you're all right.
I'm basing this off realistic and what the Cowboys are probably going to do, and what I expect them to do, and also what kind of skill set is best going to complement CeeDee Lamb.
I did mine off realistic, except the top guy isn't realistic, like low percent that it happens, but they're all realistic picks for me.
Yeah. Brendan, number 4 on your list.
So you know how I went realistic? You know, like I talked about like how like things I could see happening. I would love for what I'm about to say happen, just because I want Jerry to try to spin every narrative that McCarthy was the problem. Oh, McCarthy wanted Amari Cooper gone. Yeah, McCarthy wanted him gone. That's the reason why Amari left. We didn't trade him because we wanted to. McCarthy just didn't want him. We had to do what our head coach wants. It's not that Amari was starting to talk shit about us or anything. No, we had to get rid of him, guys. Put your money where your mouth is. Do it. Bring Amari back.
I don't hate that one. I don't hate that.
I love Amari Cooper. I love the routes I love what he does. I do. Does it annoy me sometimes when he takes himself out of games? Yes, it does. It does bother me. Talked about that earlier. But dude, he's so good. Like when he's on it, he's on it. He went to Buffalo his first game. He's like, oh, hey, Josh Allen's here. This is probably a play, and tossed the ball back to him. He just said, F it. Like, I miss Amari. I bet if Amari thought we did something creative, he would toss it back to Dak. But, you know, we're not creative here at all besides, like, triple reverse.
All right, Mike, number 4 on your list.
Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. X-guy, speed, a lot of speed, all kinds of speed. On the outside, he would be like a young Brandon Cooks version. You know, he's not 6'3". I think he's 6 foot. I don't have all my notes here of him, but I think he's like 6 foot, 195, somewhere in that range. But he has great, like he catches the ball with his hands. He's not a body catcher, and he's got elite speed. And so he's a guy you could put at X, and it would be very difficult for teams to just go, don't worry about shading dudes that way. You know, let the cornerback go one-on-one with him. And we need that out of an X. It'll open everything up for Ferguson and Lamb underneath.
Like it. Okay, number 3 on your list.
Savion Williams. Okay, so Savion, you like Savion Williams. Okay, so Savion Williams is out of TCU. He reminds me in a way of, do you guys know who Deion Walker is? Defensive tackle, has all the talent in the world, but it kind of loafs. His problem isn't loafing, though. It's not laziness. He has concentration issues. He's very raw. So it's like, when do you take a risk on a guy who could end up being the best wide receiver in the whole draft class if it clicks, if he gets to the right spot? But if he goes to the wrong spot, could end up being like, damn, we got Kelvin Joseph, that type of thing. Just a guy that had a lot of potential but never lived up to it, never worked to it. Savion Williams is like 6'5", and he can play slot. Like, dude's crazy athletic. He's just raw. He has no route tree. He has concentration drops. So he has all the talent. He just needs to get the right guy. Now, does it worry me putting him in a Dallas Cowboy uniform with the type of, like, you got to be focused in to make it here? So that worries me. But, man, I just think he's too talented not to take a chance on, especially if somehow he fell to 44. I would like cry happy tears. But the likelihood is you'd have to trade back from 12 to in the early 20s, and then you could take one of Golden or Savion Williams, and that would be about the right value.
Man, so Golden and Savion Williams are first round guys, you think?
I have Savion Williams. Savion Williams is hard because I have Golden as a first round guy. The reason I have him below Williams is because Williams is one of those dudes. He reminds me of my favorite player in the draft right now, Derek Harmon. So, like, it's like I said about before we drafted DeMario and Overshown. I said, well, I have him in the 3rd round because he does so many things. You can't get an idea of what he does if he had 80 snaps at one position. But if he got the right coach, I literally said this, he could be the best defensive player in the draft. That's Savion Williams. Like, if he hits, he could be the best wide receiver in this whole class. But he also has a chance of having no floor. Like, he could be a complete bust if he, a Mingo. Big, fast, strong, should hadn't done anything yet. He could be that type. So I'd probably put a 2 grade on Savion Williams and a 1 on Golden.
Okay. Brendan, number 3 on your list.
So I'm going to change mine up. I'm not going to lie. I'm doing this because I want to continue Mike's talk with Savion Williams. But we'll get to that. Savion Williams is my number 1 guy I wanted for the simple fact that, first off, I'm a TCU fan. And so I've seen these huge wide receivers coming out of TCU. Every year I'm like, maybe we get him. Maybe we can somehow do something. And they always get taken. I love Savion Williams. Like he's a prototypical TCU wide receiver 1. He just like, okay, cool. Hey, are you big? Yes, I am. Can you run it? Are you going to be in the slot? Can you just outrun everyone? Yes, I can. Okay, cool. Go. And that's just the number 1 for TCU. I know Beck could be like 1A, 1B with him on that offense, but Savion Williams is so damn fun.
Do you say, isn't his name Besh?
Oh, Besh, my bad.
Besh. Okay.
I haven't watched TCU football in a good little bit, so I'm reading
good.
his name. My mind goes Beck. But just let me have one. I know you gave me Turpin, even though you gave me Turpin late. Give me one rookie TCU wide receiver who could be good. Like, let me live out my fantasy here. He's so damn good.
He could be the best wide receiver in this draft.
Imagine him with Hoover didn't play bad this year. He didn't. Imagine him with a Dak level quarterback.
It could be nasty.
Interesting. All right, number 3 on my list. You might like this one, Brendan. I'm not sure about you, Mike, but I would like to see Dallas bring back Kevontae Turpin.
Oh yeah.
Well, I got no problem.
So here's the reason I didn't put Turpin is he's a restricted free agent or exclusive rights. I can't remember which. I did a friggin' article on it. Restricted. So he's basically back. So I was thinking like guys, he's already on the team. So I was thinking of guys that you're bringing in that weren't there anymore. Otherwise, I think Turpin would have made my 5. I really like Turpin. If we could get him in an offense where they really would use him like they did the last couple of weeks, if they would do that regularly, I think he could be a big playmaker for us.
So he's a free agent, but restricted, meaning that like it's likely that he's going to come back.
Meaning that if Dallas wants him back, he's back. Like he doesn't really have a choice. They just offer him something and he's stuck basically.
Kind of sucks for him, man.
You think
it's not like he got a minimum contract coming from what you call it, coming from XFL or whatever it was. No. So he's all right. XFL. He can go one more year.
Okay, number 2 on my list, Mike. I know you like this guy, Luther Burden.
Nice. I like it. A matter of fact, I'll just add that's my number 2.
Same here.
Oh, really? We all got Luther Burden. Okay, then I'll just talk about him. Yak Monster. He is a slot guy, but he has potential to play outside. He has enough size. He just didn't have to do it much. He's a scheme to get open player. So like if a guy man up presses him and his job is just to beat the guy, not great at that. So that is a worry. He's not a flawless prospect. You know, he has issues getting off press. His releases on the outside are not great. But if you get him the football on the move, I would prefer having him as our wide receiver 2 than drafting Genty, because I think he would do more for the offense while getting a back like a Rico and a 3rd round back than if you got Genty in the 1st and then ended up getting a 3rd round wide receiver that competes with Tolbert for wide receiver 2. I think our offense is better as if you get a Burden, put him with Lamb, and then have Rico or a vet in that price range and a running back in the 3rd to 5th round. I think that is a better complete offense than if you got Genty and a wide receiver in the 3rd.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Yeah, like the way you looked at down there.
Well, typically he was my 3, but I moved him up because we were talking about Savion Williams. So But yeah, no, he's easily on my list.
My number one's Tetora McMillan, Arizona, but the likelihood he drops is very unlikely. If you don't know who he is big time X outside receiver. He runs routes well enough. His hands are easily the best in a long time. He has Marvin Harrison Jr. type hand. Like he if you get it near his hands, it's caught. Like I don't want to like jinx him and like he ends up being a drop guy in the NFL. But if he is, it's a shocker because that guy he catches everything. And he would just be the perfect complement to. He would even be better than the 6-foot speedy guy because the way Dak like he throws into close windows. Well, a guy like that, the way he catches and his extension, if the ball's not right on the money, he brings it in anyway. So it's not just like he's going to be a 50-50 guy. His slants would work out well. He would just help. And he's not a horrible blocker. Like he's not as good as Ibuka, especially for his size, but he doesn't do anything poorly. So I would love Tet McMillan, Arizona would be. I wish you would fall to 12.
All right, Mike. Sorry, Brendan. What about you? Number one on your list?
Same. Like that's what this offense needs. That's why I love Savion Williams. I know Savion Williams plays like a TCU wide receiver, a big guy who plays like a slot. I understand that, but you need a guy who can box out people. Like CeeDee Lamb cannot just be your go-to in the red zone. They went away from Jake Ferguson this year for some effing odd reason, but like you need someone else. Everyone knows CeeDee Lamb's like the first option every time. It is. But what about instead of the fade ball to 5'10" Brandon Cooks goes to McMillan? Hear me out. I'm no football pro here. I'm not a coach or any, but I think that might work out better. I don't know for sure, man.
Our last two seasons, the highest touchdown people were Brandon Cooks, and then this year is Jalen Tolbert. That because everybody knows to go after Lamb. You got to get a guy that people fear in that area as much as Lamb, and nobody fears Tolbert or Cooks. That's why they're able to score so much because they're like, that's fine. He has 5 touchdowns, but our guys can cover him. I'd rather him have to get him than Lamb or Ferguson be able to get him. So, you need that third guy, Ferguson, Lamb, and one of those outside X guys.
Yeah. All right, number one on my list. I know this isn't realistic, but this would be incredible, amazing. T. Higgins.
Yeah, that.
My mind said no.
We all know they're not going to pay him. That's the bummer because I think honestly, if we're all honest, he would be our number one. When everybody's, if we're a regular front office, that's like, if it's Philly, if this is Philly about them Eagles, we would be like, well, you never know, man. Last year they got rid of Reddick and brought in Huff. Maybe they trade AJ Brown, who's got issues, and they've signed T. Higgins. Like, if we're any other regular front office, it would be a possibility, but we know we're not paying. So,
yeah.
But man, imagine T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb together, dude. That'd just be so
over. It would be disgusting. It's what
they should be Turpin as the 3.
It's what they should be doing is going out and paying for a T. Higgins and pushing his contract. Pay him $1 million, $2 million this coming up year, and push his money into void years and 5 years from now, and going all in like that, so that when we go in the draft, you could go, well, shit, Genty fell to us, a top 5 player, and we signed Higgins, we signed a DT, we brought back Jordan Lewis. Let's just get Genty and we'll be explosive. But everybody thinks I hate running backs, but I'm like, I just don't want Dallas to get him because I'm trying to build a complete unit, and we can get a starting running back. It's not the same as Genty, but a starter quality in the 3rd to 5th round, where wide receiver, you're not going to find a Burden, a Golden, and you're not going to find those guys certified. Those guys are going to battle with Jalen Tolbert for the wide receiver 2. I don't need that. I need a clear and obvious major upgrade from Tolbert at wide receiver 2.
Would you trade pick 12 for T. Higgins?
No.
My mind is still going with him. I'm the Jerry Jones, and that means you're still paying him $20 million, and you already paid CeeDee Lamb. Actually, over $20 million, and you're already paying CeeDee Lamb that much.
Yeah.
So that's the fastest nope ever.
I would not. If I was in charge, I honestly would not want to pay and give up the draft capital for Higgins. I would go. I've already paid for a wide receiver 1. Let me get a young stud to go with him, but I would go into the draft going, I'm going to get one of my first 2 rounds are going to be one of these wide receiver, one of these 5 to 7 top wide receivers to pair with Lamb.
Yeah. All right. So my prospect preview that I wanted for you, Mike, was Xavier Restrepo, the wide receiver from Florida. I assume you've already watched his tape and everything.
Yeah, we could do that next week.
Have you written about him?
I haven't written about any draft prospects. That's not what KD Drummond wants right now. So the boss, the editor says we're doing, Osa and Jordan Lewis and coaching stuff. And we don't want to waste our draft stuff right now because it's kind of a malaise for Dallas until we find out if we're stuck with Moore or Schottenheimer or one of those people.
Yeah. Once the season's officially over, those people are going to be fiending for draft prospect, evaluations and content. So I can understand that.
Bingo. Hour and a half. We will not
so
do
good
it
to be
that
back,
long.
boys.
It's been a month. You gotta give us a break. We're gonna.
Yeah, but we haven't. It's been too long, man. So yeah, give us a break tonight, guys.
Yep, I agree.
So good to be back, though.
It did.
I had
it was
fun.
Great.
I had fun.
And talking the draft, that was nice too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Or before you get you out of here, Mike, where can we find you on Twitter?
CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy.
Brendan, what about you?
At Brendan_Smith 26.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Maybe we will.